You are listening to station KCVR Emergency Relay out of Riverbend, Missouri. Powered right now by a diesel generator behind a chain link fence in the back lot. My name is Mark Caldwell. I am 56 years old, born in Wichita, Kansas, and I have worked news and public safety radio in the Midwest since 1989. I am speaking from the small Studio B booth at the corner of East Front Street and Ridge Avenue, 2 blocks off the Missouri River. If you can hear me, your receiver still has power and your antenna is doing its job. Stay with me. I will stay with you as long as this engine holds. Time check is approximate. The wall clock stopped at 6:42 p.m. when the first surge hit and tripped our main breaker. My wristwatch did the same. The only time I trust is my producer's wind-up kitchen timer and the analog meter on the generator outside. I'm going to call this top of the hour by habit even if it is wrong. Here is what I know from confirmed sources and from the shortwave net we built after the tornado year in 2011. A cascade of power failures started late afternoon Eastern Time in the United States after reports of voltage instability in the Northeastern interconnection. First outages were scattered in New England, Quebec, and Ontario, then rolled through New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and down the Mid-Atlantic. Control rooms reported transformers running hot and protection relays tripping. At first, the federal alert referred to a cyber intrusion. That wording has since been softened to an unspecified grid emergency. I will read the exact line from the last Department of Energy bulletin we printed before the network went dead. Quote, "We are experiencing multiple unplanned isolations across regional interconnections. Operators are taking steps to shed load and stabilize frequency." End quote. No mention of attackers in that version. No mention of a storm. Just failure. We are on backup power because the city went dark in a sequence. First the street lights, then the traffic signals on Highway 63, then the old steel mill on the south side dumped load. The river bridge lights blinked twice and went black. I watched it from this window. No drama, no roar. Just the city going dull and quiet. I am going to move between official notes, live calls, and the shortwave relay. I will repeat critical instructions. I will correct myself if I say something wrong. I will be plain. First instruction. If you're in a multi-story building without power, move to lower floors before night if you can do so safely. Stairwells in older buildings hold heat and trap fumes. Do not use candles in enclosed spaces. Use battery lanterns if you have them. If you must use an open flame, crack a window and place the flame on tile or metal. Carbon monoxide kills without warning. Check on anyone using a portable generator. If you smell exhaust in a house or garage, stop the generator, move it at least 20 feet away from any door or window, and point the exhaust away from the living space. Second instruction. Water, municipal pumps will stop when the reservoir header tanks drain. Fill bathtubs in any clean container now. A bathtub holds around 80 to 100 gallons depending on size. If you have a water heater with a tank, it has 40 to 60 gallons of potable water inside. Turn off the breaker, close the inlet valve, and use the drain at the bottom to collect the water if your taps dry up. Boil any unknown water for a full rolling 3 minutes. Let it cool before storage. Third instruction. Food safety. A refrigerator keeps food safe for about 4 hours unopened. A full freezer keeps food safe about 48 hours if the door stays closed, less if it is half full. Do not taste food to test it. If in doubt, throw it out. We are taking the first call off the landline that still works. It is an old copper pair, routed through a different building. Caller, I have you. Please give your name, location, and what you are seeing. This is Angela Park. I am an RN at St. Joseph Medical Center in Kansas City, Missouri. We lost main power at about 5 p.m. Backup ran for 35 minutes. Then the diesel cut out. We had 3 ventilators running on a portable unit, and we are bagging by hand now. Ambulances stopped answering. Our sat phone shows a connection but will not complete a call. We can keep patients stable a little longer, but we need people with hand strength, and we need oxygen tanks. We have families here willing to help, but we are running out of tubing and masks. Angela, thank you. I hear you. For anyone near St. Joseph Medical Center in Kansas City on East 99th Street, if you can travel safely on foot or by bicycle, they need oxygen tanks, manual resuscitators, and anyone willing to compress a bag by hand for hours. That is not dramatic. That is what it takes. If you have a working car and enough fuel to get there, remember that signal lights are dead. 4-way stops at every intersection. Drive slow and steady. If you cannot help, stay off the roads. Angela, please keep this line open for updates every 30 minutes. Use channel 2 if the line fails and try the shortwave relay on 7.20 MHz lower sideband. Ask for Riverbend Relay. We will log this as a confirmed hospital backup failure with manual ventilation ongoing. Shortwave net check. Riverbend Relay, calling the Midwest operator net on 7.20 MHz. Lower sideband. Stations with emergency traffic only, over. I have a low signal from call sign KA9 Delta Victor in Peoria, Illinois. He says long lines of cars at gas stations with pumps dead, people trying to siphon fuel, police stretched thin. He reports a downed transformer on Jefferson Avenue with a crown of blue fire just before failure. That is consistent with magnetic saturation and arcing on high load. He says his station runs on a deep cycle battery bank charged by 2 roof panels. He will conserve power and check in hourly. Thank you, Dan. A note on siphoning fuel. Modern cars have anti-siphon valves. If you do not know what you are doing, you will break a valve or swallow gasoline and end up in an emergency room that cannot take you. The safer option is to use a hand pump at the fuel line under the hood, but that requires tools and knowledge. Share fuel if you can. Do not fight over it. I'm going to read a short message from a Federal Aviation Administration controller in Olathe, Kansas, who dialed in 20 minutes ago and then lost his phone. He authorized me to use his first name. This is Mark from Kansas City Center. We lost radar feed and transponder returns in rapid succession from multiple sectors. We issued visual flight rules only. We had several aircraft declare minimum fuel and then their radios died mid-call. We do not have confirmation of crashes in our sector. We do not have confirmation of safe landings either. We are blind. We pulled the breakers to protect the old consoles. That is all. No aircraft noise outside here for the last hour. None. The interstate near us is slower than usual, but not chaotic yet. The highway patrol cut through with sirens twice, and then it stopped. I have a technical note from an engineer named Victor Ramirez in Springfield, Illinois, who worked substation protection for 15 years. He reached me on shortwave with enough clarity to write this down. He says what we are hearing is not a normal overcurrent trip. He says the geomagnetically induced current behavior does not match a standard solar event. His phrase was a steady squeeze on the magnetics, not a spike. Victor, if you can hear me, I would like you to call in again with any detail you can share without violating non-disclosure. The public needs plain language. For anyone new to a radio, here is a simple power plan. Turn your receiver off for 20 minutes out of every hour to save battery. If you have a hand crank radio, charge it during our pauses. If you have a small solar panel, prop it near a window. If you are running a generator, rotate power between your refrigerator, your chest freezer, and your charging station. Do not run a generator inside. Exhaust is deadly. Keep it outside and use a heavy-duty extension cord through a door or window. We have another caller. Go ahead. Name and location. This is Robert Lutz, retired Army living in Manhattan, Kansas. I monitor the Army's amateur-friendly frequencies. Fort Riley went to radio silence about 30 minutes ago. Before that, a friend said the base switched to internal power and then started rationing generator time. He said they grounded everything. He also said the sky had a static haze. I do not know how to describe that. He said his hair stood up when he touched a fence. Robert, thank you. Fort Riley on the Kansas River has a long history keeping radios alive during storms and floods. If they are rationing fuel this early, they expect a long event. That detail about the fence is a tell. Static discharge happens in strange conditions, but I'm hearing it too often today to brush off. Let me step back and put a frame around this for people just tuning in on battery sets and car radios. We started the day with scattered utility reports of voltage swings in the Northeast. The first public alert blamed a cyber attack. Then the wording changed to an unspecified grid emergency. In the last 2 hours, more than half of the continental United States lost power, along with parts of Canada and Mexico. Overseas relays on the shortwave net say the United Kingdom, parts of France, Sweden, Spain, New Zealand, Japan, and large sections of Australia reported similar failures. In several places, the backups did not hold. Hospitals and airports ran on stored fuel for a short time, then stopped. Air traffic control lost radar and transponder returns. Transmissions cut off mid-call. We have reports of transformers burning out with no visible lightning and no storm overhead. We have repeated mentions of a faint buzz in the sky. The space weather dashboard that amateur operators use went dark early. The last posted KP index was ordinary. No solar flare warnings were issued. I am not reading online speculation. I am reading voices I know and numbers I can write down with a pencil. I am walking into the rack room while I talk. I am going to describe what I see so you know I am not in a bunker with fancy toys. I am in a cinderblock room with 2 equipment racks, a wooden desk, an old microwave relay shelf nobody removed, and a rolling chair with 1 broken caster. The air condition is off. The room is warm. The transmitter is set to half power to stretch the fuel. There is a cardboard box with 2 oil filters and 3 fuel filters for the generator. There are 4 5-gallon diesel cans. 2 are full, 2 are half. That is maybe 15 hours at this load if we are careful. We will go until we cannot. I am back in the booth. Shortwave check again. Riverbend relay to Midwest operator, net on 7.20 megahertz. Lower sideband. Stations outside the United States, go ahead. I have a clear station from Christchurch, New Zealand. He reports grid loss 3 hours ago local time, network down, but some neighborhoods with small diesel generators are alive. He reports the South Island airport closed, planes grounded, and their emergency management office using paper maps and a battery-powered megaphone to direct people to a civic center with water. Thank you, James. I have a weak station from Sweden, near Uppsala. He reports that the northern rail lines stopped and the stations are dark. He says police are moving people away from stalled trains. He says he saw a substation throw blue light and then die. He says the sky does not look right. He cannot explain what that means. Thank you, Anders. I am looking out the window at the river. The water is flat and dark. The city is not panicking yet. People gather in small knots on corners. Some have camp stoves on their porches. One man is cooking on a charcoal grill. A woman on the 3rd floor across the street is waving a battery lantern in her window to signal her neighbor. I can read the light and count the flashes. She is saying she has water. She is saying, come over. I'm going to say something that will sound obvious in 2 days. Stop waiting for exact instructions. The situation changes faster than the printouts in any office. The last official message I have says to report to a mall shelter on the south side. I drove past that mall every morning this year. It has been half empty since January. I doubt the doors are even unlocked. If you know a church fellowship hall with a manual key, if you know a school gym with standpipes and a map of shut-off valves on the wall, open the door, hang a sign, and make a list of who is inside. Keep the list. Lists matter. We have a text-only message that printed on the dot matrix in the hallway when the fiber dropped. It came from the State Emergency Management Office in Jefferson City, and it is stamped with the old logo, which means their main system is gone and somebody is using the antique. It says, quote, river pumps offline at water plants in St. Charles, Columbia, and Jefferson City. Small plant stable for 4 to 6 hours on tank head pressure. Statewide requests for bottled water distribution will be delayed. Use local resources, end quote. Local resources means hose bibs, fire hydrants, and whatever is already on shelves. I know managers at the Riverbend Food Co-op and the Farm and Fleet on East 7th. They both have keys and both have radios. If one of you is listening, call me on the shop line. We need to coordinate without turning this into a mob. Shop line is ringing. Stand by. I am Dave from Farm and Fleet. We locked the doors and we have 6 staff here. We have a diesel forklift and a pallet of water in the back. We opened 1 pallet and handed out a few cases before we decided to wait for guidance. We did not want a crowd to push through. We have a megaphone. We can set up a table outside and distribute one case per household if you say so. Dave, thank you. Do not open without a plan. Put 3 staff on the table, 1 on the gate, 2 inside stacking. Tape lines 6 feet apart to keep order, not for medical reasons. Write down every name and what they take. That list lets you hold the line when someone comes back twice. Ask for volunteers to help carry for the elderly. If anyone shows a weapon or threatens your staff, close the gate and wait. Call the sheriff on any working radio and tell me on this line. I will walk over myself with our station wrench if I have to. I'm hearing a knock on the glass. That is my engineer, Tom, age 62, former Air Force radio maintenance at Offutt, and the reason we are on the air. He says the generator is running a little rich. He's going to change the air filter. He will be in the back lot for 5 minutes. I'm going to keep talking, and if the tone changes, you will know why. While Tom works, I want to address something that started a rumor in our call queue. People are saying this is an electromagnetic pulse attack. An EMP in the old Cold War sense involves a high-altitude nuclear detonation. It produces a fast, intense pulse that fries unprotected electronics. If that had happened, you would see a specific pattern. Things would die fast, and then you would see nothing at all. This event is not that. We have persistent current in long conductors and slow failures in transformers. That maps to geomagnetically induced currents, the way you see in a big solar storm, except this does not fit the usual solar behavior. Space weather monitors went offline early. We do not have a flare signature. I am not a scientist, but I have done enough severe weather radio to know when the experts are guessing. They are guessing. I have a line from the Boulder, Colorado. This is Elaine Voss, retired from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Space Weather Prediction Center. I live in Lafayette now. I can confirm there was no X-class flare, no coronal mass ejection signature strong enough to do this. We have seen weird coupling between the magnetosphere and long conductors during minor events, but today's numbers do not make sense. The best description I can give is a standing disturbance in the ionosphere that is not responding like a typical storm. It is not cyber. You cannot hack iron cores and make them saturate like this. Something is driving long-period currents from above. Elaine, thank you for plain language. I will ask a basic question on behalf of the parents in minivans and the night shift line cooks, standing outside dark kitchens. Is this temporary? I cannot promise anything. If the disturbance decays in hours, utilities can rebuild sections and rotate load. If transformers have burned globally, replacement takes months to years. Those are not off the shelf. The large high-voltage transformers are custom and they ship by sea. We keep spares, but not enough for continents. I am sorry. I appreciate the honesty. For the record, high-voltage transformers that step up and step down power are large machines filled with oil and copper. When they fail with an internal arc, they burn. You do not fix a burned transformer with a wrench, you replace it. There is a little quiet in the city right now. I'm taking advantage of it to give a list you can write down. These are shortwave frequencies where real people, not rumor, are talking. 7.20 megahertz. Lower sideband is our Midwest operator net. 3.85 megahertz lower sideband is good for regional night traffic in the Midwest and South. 4.75 megahertz. Amplitude modulation carries some international broadcasters, if any survive. In the daylight hours, try 14.30 megahertz upper sideband for emergency contacts, and 19.00 megahertz for long skips if the ionosphere cooperates. Write those down. Tape the list to your radio. I will also give one local FM channel in the clear that is still talking. 96.1 megahertz community radio in Columbia, Missouri has a small solar array on their roof and a battery bank. They are low power but steady. The host's name is Janice. She is good. If we go quiet here, try her. Shopline again. This is Janice from Columbia. We are still on the air. We are reading from city maps and posting street water points. We set up a drop at the municipal pool on Clinkscales Road. The old manual valve works. People can fill containers there. We have 2 police officers directing traffic. We have a volunteer medic taking blood pressure and handing out information on how to keep insulin cold using evaporative cooling with clay pots. Tell people to stop calling for ambulances that will not run. Walk to your neighbor. Knock. Ask what they need. You heard that. If you have insulin and no refrigeration, the clay pot method is an old trick. Put one unglazed clay pot inside a larger one, fill the space between with wet sand, and cover with a damp cloth. Place in a draft. Evaporation cools the inner pot. It will not give you freezer levels, but it will extend safe temperature. Keep a thermometer if you have one. If you do not, check twice a day and use judgment. I am going to take a personal moment because I promised myself I would be honest on this mic. My daughter's name is Hannah. She lives in Kalamazoo, Michigan. She teaches 4th grade. We had an argument in August about me working too many weekends. I told her news does not keep banker hours. She said I was using the station to hide from the grief after her mother died. We did not talk for 3 weeks. We fixed it with coffee and an apology. I do not know if her lights are on now. I do not know if her phone has charge. I will say her name once an hour on this broadcast. If anyone in Kalamazoo hears me, if anyone can get a message to a teacher named Hannah Caldwell on West Edge Avenue, tell her father is on the air in Riverbend and will stay as long as the diesel runs. Shopline again. This is Mercy Hospital in St. Louis. The emergency department is using battery lights and a gasoline generator that keeps flooding. We have a backlog of people with heat exhaustion and minor injuries. There is no air conditioning. We need fans and ice. The fire department is stretched. We need shade. We can offer tetanus shots and clean water. If you are near Mercy Hospital on South New Ballas Road and you can get there without trouble, bring fans, coolers, and ice. If you run a restaurant with a failing freezer, haul your ice in bins and give it to the hospital first. They will save lives with it. Write your business name on the bin and the phone number. We will remember you when the lights come back. Shortwave check. Incoming from the East Coast. This is Tom in Baltimore County, amateur call sign N3 Tango Lima. I am on battery. The port of Baltimore is dark. I can see the cranes at Dundalk idle. The Navy Yard in D.C. is quiet. I have a cousin at the Coast Guard Yard in Curtis Bay. He says they are putting small boats in the water with handheld radios to keep an eye on the channel markers. Air traffic is none. The sky is clear. It looks normal, but nothing moves. Thank you, Tom. There is a pattern now. Ports idle, airports quiet. The sound that is gone is as telling as anything that remains. I'm going to cycle back to practical matters. If you're in a rural area with a well pump and no power, find your pressure tank. It usually sits near the pump. There is a Schrader valve on top that looks like a tire valve. If you have a hand pump, or you can rig a bicycle pump with a gauge, you can pressurize the tank to get a little more flow. Do not overdo it. 30 to 50 pounds per square inch is typical depending on your setup. This is not a long-term fix. It buys you time. If you're in an apartment with no water and you have to use a bucket for sanitation, line it with a heavy trash bag and add a little household bleach after each use. Tie it off and store it outside if you can. If you cannot, isolate it in a bathroom with the door closed. I am not going to pretend this is dignified. It is necessary. Hosts on a microphone never talk about this part. We should. We have a call from a sheriff's office in Platte County. This is Deputy Linda Perez. We have hands-on traffic control at 2 intersections near the hospital. We have 3 deputies out and no radios except older VHF units that still work. We can respond to emergencies if you flag us down or if a runner reaches us. Do not call 911 if your phone still has a dial tone. The dispatchers cannot send us where we cannot hear. Walk to the firehouse, knock, we will be there. Thank you, Deputy Perez. I will add this. If you keep firearms in your home, keep them secured but accessible. Know where your ammunition is. Do not carry a rifle down Main Street unless you want to scare the neighbors and force a deputy to make a choice. If you organize a neighborhood watch, carry flashlights and first aid kits. Leave the long guns in the back until you have a specific reason to bring them forward. Most people are scared and tired. Do not give them a reason to make a mistake. Shortwave signal rising from the north. This is Hydro-Quebec technician Alain in a personal capacity. We saw strong DC currents on long lines. Our protective relays opened. Several transformers are out of service. We do not have a solar explanation. We are isolating whatever we can to protect what is left. If the event ends, we can build islands and reconnect slowly, but the large machines are damaged. We will need help from outside when ships can sail again. Thank you, Alan. The phrase build islands is worth explaining. When a grid collapses, engineers sometimes bring up small chunks of the grid as independent islands, stabilize them, and then tie them together carefully. It is delicate work. It requires coordination through radios like this, when fiber links are down. So if you are an engineer in a control room with a working battery set, take notes, keep a log on paper, and speak to your neighbors on these frequencies. Your voice may be the only network you get for a while. The generator just hiccuped and recovered. Tom is back at the glass with a thumbs up. New air filter is in. Exhaust is clean. We are good for a few more hours. He says the fuel line has a slight leak at the clamp. He will tighten it when the metal cools. You will hear the engine pitch drop for a moment when he does. Do not worry unless I say the word stop. If I say stop, that means we cut the transmitter to save the generator. We will still be recording on a battery recorder and will bring you back when we can. We have a different sort of call now. This is Sister Agnes at St. Mary's Shelter on Walnut. We have 50 people in the church hall. We have a propane stove and 8 big pots. We are boiling water and making rice. We have 2 nurses and a retired plumber who knows the school building next door. If anyone is alone and scared, this is a safe room. No weapons inside, no exceptions. We will store them and tag them. We will return them when you leave. Bless you, sister. If you need volunteers to stand at the door, call me again and I will make that appeal. I am hearing more reports of quiet skies. An air traffic controller named Sam out of Kansas reports that he stepped outside at an empty tower, looked up, and saw a faint ripple across the sky. He said it was not a cloud. He said it reminded him of heat over asphalt, but larger and higher. He had no other words. He is not a dramatic man. He is the sort of person who loves checklists and coffee and a thermos. The fact that he called it in tells me to write it down. We have to talk about evacuation orders now. A bulletin came across the state net telling people in coastal and dense urban zones to evacuate to designated shelters in inland counties. I do not see how that is supposed to work without fuel pumps, without traffic signals, and with bridges jammed. I am telling you this as a man with no badge and no power beyond this microphone. If you are in a stable building with water and neighbors you trust, stay where you are and make a plan there. If you are in a high-rise without water and you have a place to go in walking range, move before dark with a buddy. Leave a note on your door with the new address. Tape it low so looters do not see it first. Shortwave from Chicago. Fire Chief Alan Murphy. Water pressure has dropped citywide. We are using pumper trucks to boost pressure for high-rises, but we cannot be everywhere. If you are above the 10th floor, assume you will not have water by morning. Fill your tub now. Store drinking water. Put out buckets on balconies to catch rain if it comes. We have 8 hours of diesel at this station. After that, we push the trucks into the bays and grab hand pumps. Chief Murphy, thank you. That statement is real in a way I wish it was not. I did disaster radio during the Joplin tornado. I stood on the sidewalk outside a flattened home and told people where to pick up tetanus shots and clean socks. I learned then that a clear sentence can move more people than a siren. So here is a clear sentence. Assume you are on your own for 72 hours. If help arrives sooner, thank every first responder you see. If it does not, help each other. I have a message from a farmer named Ruth in Chariton County. She says she has a diesel tractor and her gravity wagon full of corn that is not worth anything if the elevator is dark. She will trade sacks of dried corn and eggs for batteries and bleach at the old VFW hall tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. if the road is clear. She says bring your own sacks. She says park in rows and leave space for tractors. She asked me to repeat her rule. No fighting, I will repeat it. No fighting. I am going to pause for 10 slow breaths and sip water. You will hear the room tone and a little static. That is normal. I am not going anywhere. Back. I can feel the heat in the booth. The fan on the console is working hard. The emergency light over the door is dim. I can smell diesel faintly through the wall. It smells clean. If it smelled sharp and gassy, I would worry. A note from the Riverbend police chief, Carla Jenkins. She hand-wrote it and slid it under the door when she stopped to check on us. It says, quote, "Curfew at sunset is recommended, not enforced. We have 4 patrol cars with enough fuel for the night. We will rotate them. We will presence patrol main routes on foot when needed. If you see fires, call them in at the station landline or run to the station. We have hand pumps for the brush truck. We are tired but steady." End quote. If you run a hardware shop, get your smoke alarms and fire extinguishers out front and hand them out with instructions. If a family can put out a kitchen fire with a 2.5-pound extinguisher instead of calling a truck that will never come, you just saved a house. We are getting a longer distance voice from Tokyo by way of an American teacher named Daniel, who has a battery radio on his balcony in Setagaya. He says power went out across his district earlier than in many other places. Trains stopped, and convenience stores handed out bottled water until the lines grew long and they shut the doors. He describes an unusual static hiss on his metal balcony railing when he touched it. He could see a glow at a substation across the river just before it failed. He says the city is quiet but orderly. People are lining up with patience. He says he will call again when he can. Shortwave from Sydney. A volunteer at Royal North Shore Hospital says their big generator ran, then tripped, then ran again. Engineers are sweating and swapping filters like Tom is doing here. He says a pilot friend landed a small plane on a road north of the city when the airport went dark. He used flares placed by locals to mark the lane. People can improvise when you tell them what needs doing. Tell them early. We just had a flash in the back lot. That was Tom tightening the clamp. The engine note dipped and returned. We are good? I am going to do another block of practical instruction. If you have a car with a working battery and you need to charge phones or medical devices, do it during the day and do it with the engine running in a well-ventilated area. Do not sit in a closed garage with an idling engine. Carbon monoxide again. If you have a cigarette lighter to USB adapter, that will work. If you have a small inverter, keep it under 100 watts on a cigarette lighter plug. Many cars have a fuse limit around 10 to 15 amps on that circuit. You do not want to blow a fuse you cannot replace easily. Medical. If you have a CPAP machine and no power, sleep propped on extra pillows to reduce airway collapse. It is not a replacement, but it helps. If you have prescription medications, sort them by priority. Blood pressure, insulin, seizure control come first. Pain medications can be stretched with careful dosing. Keep a written schedule. Phones will die and you will not have alarms. Write times and words on paper and mark with a pen when you take a dose. If you're in a city without air conditioning and temperatures climb, cool your body with water on wrists, neck, and ankles. Sit on a tile floor. Put your feet in a bucket of cool water. Move air with a hand fan. Keep infants in the coolest room, not in a closed car. Night brings relief. Plan chores at dawn and dusk. We just got a knock from across the hallway. There is a man named Julio with a toolbox who walked his bicycle here from 5 blocks away. He says he knows small engines and will help Tom. He says he fixed lawnmowers for 20 years and he is steady. I shook his hand. He has grease under his nails and calm eyes. I believe him. He asked if he could call his son on our landline. I dialed for him. No answer. He went to the back lot without another word. I hear a lot of breathing through this microphone that is not mine. I know you are out there, sitting in dark rooms, leaning toward the radio as if leaning makes the signal stronger. It does not, but keep leaning. It keeps your head near the speaker and your mind on useful words. Shortwave from Denali National Park, Alaska. Ranger Pete says the park headquarters lost power early. The generator runs, the radio tower is on, and the sky there shows a weak aurora without the usual solar warning. He says it hangs lower than he expects for the season. He is sober. He is not a spooky story guy. He says the herd animals are moving to valleys they do not usually use in October. He is writing it in a notebook because the computer is dead. There is a growing pile of observations about the sky. I do not know what to do with them yet. The scientist in Boulder says not a flare. The technician in Quebec says long-period currents. The ranger in Alaska says low aurora. The controllers say no planes. I repeat it all because repeating it may help pattern recognition later. I'm going to read one more official bulletin before we lose faith in paper. From the Department of Homeland Security, stamped 2 hours ago. Quote, evacuation recommended from coastal urban areas due to water and sanitation risk. Proceed to designated shelters. Bring 3 days of food and water. Do not use elevators. End quote. I will point out again that if your city has no power, your designated shelter may be a locked building with a dead intercom. It might still be the best place to gather if someone can open the doors, bring paper and markers, post signs. Do not wait for a uniform. We need to talk about sanitation in hospitals and nursing homes. If you work in one and you have no power, you need more hands. Put a note outside on cardboard that says volunteers needed. List the tasks and assign a nurse to train 5 lay people to do one thing each. Bagging ventilations, carrying water, rolling gurneys, changing linens. You do not need to be a hero. You need to be a helper. The booth light flickered hard. That means the generator is loading unevenly. Tom is already moving. He is fast for a 62-year-old. Julio is behind him. The tone stabilized. We are fine. I'm going to read from my own notebook now. When I was 12 in Wichita, my school did a duck and cover drill. We went under desks and covered our heads with our arms. I asked my teacher why we hid under particle board. She said it was a routine. Routines keep children calm. We all knew the desk would not help. We did the drill anyway. Tonight feels like that drill, except this time there is something useful under the desk. There is a bottle of water, a flashlight, and a list of frequencies. It is not much. It is something. Shortwave from the Gulf of Mexico. A fishing captain named Luis says he is 70 miles out on a small scener with a backup set. The main electronics died in a slow fade. The diesel is strong. The compass works. The stars look dim. He says he can make it back by dead reckoning and engine hour count, but he would like a shore light to aim for. There is no shore light. He says he will aim for the smell of land and the memory of a coastline. He says he taped our frequency to his radio with blue painter's tape 6 months ago because a friend at a bait shop told him to. Captain Luis, head for where the river mouth smell changes. You will know it. If you make landfall, send a runner to call me. I will put your voice on the air. We have not talked about crime. We will. Most people are not looking to hurt anyone tonight. They are thirsty and confused. But a few will see an opportunity. If you are in retail, keep lights inside low to reduce the shine that draws a crowd. Post 2 people by the door with clipboards and names written bold. People respect the list. If a group starts pushing, close the door and hand things through a side window. If you are at home, keep one light visible in a front window to signal life, but not plenty. Sit together in one room. Keep a phone line, if any, near. If you hear glass break on your street, step onto your porch with a flashlight before you grab anything else. Light and witnesses stop more crime than shouts. A man named George from Amarillo just used the shortwave net to say he is a long-haul trucker parked on Interstate 40 near Elk City, Oklahoma. He says the truck stop is dark and quiet. There are 20 rigs in the lot. He says drivers are sitting on bumpers with thermoses, trading batteries and stories. He says nobody is moving because fuel pumps do not work, and nobody wants to run a 12-liter diesel just to keep a cab cool. He says he gave a woman a can of fruit cocktail because she was crying quietly and trying not to show it. He said he told her it tasted better cold. She laughed without smiling. Then she ate. That is what matters, not speeches. Fruit in a can passed to a stranger. I'm getting a report from an amateur operator near the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico. He says the lab went into internal protocols and then the signal died. He reports no signs of damage. He says roads are blocked by security. That is all he knows. That is probably all we should know. We have a second physicist, retired, named Dr. Hideo Tanaka, calling from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He says he worked on geomagnetism in the 1990s. He says he is hearing the same thing Elaine in Boulder reported. He adds one thought. If this is a standing wave coupling in the upper atmosphere, it might be focused by latitudinal bands. That would explain patches of survival in some southern grids. He says this is not a conclusion, just a thought. He says he will sit on his porch and time the flicker he sees to see if there is a periodic component. I asked his age. He said 78. I told him to bring a sweater. I realize this is a lot to hold in your head while you are also thinking about your freezer and your mother's pills and the battery on your phone. So I'm going to summarize the last hour in plain terms. Power went out across wide regions of the world without a storm or a bomb. Transformers burned. Backup systems worked for a while and then did not. Airports fell quiet. Ports fell quiet. Hospitals are improvising. Police and firefighters are doing what they can with hands and engines. The cause is not clear. Cyber attack does not fit. A solar storm does not fit. Something in the upper air is coupling to our wires and making long, slow currents that eat iron. We do not know how long it lasts. It might end tonight. It might not. Either way, water, food, and a plan matter. I will add one more thing. You are not alone. I mean that literally. There is a woman named Angela at a hospital in Kansas City squeezing a bag on a ventilator with steady hands. There is a sister boiling water and telling men to leave their pistols in a box. There is a fisherman on a flat sea steering by smell and memory. There is a boy with a hand crank radio in an upstairs bedroom keeping his little sister smiling by letting her crank it. Your room and their rooms are linked by this air. That is not sentiment. It is physics and metal and patience. We will take a minute to make room for silence. Do not fill it with worry. Use it to write a list of 3 things you will do in the next hour. Water, light, check on a neighbor. Then come back to me. Back. The studio door is propped with a wedge to let air move. I can hear a man's voice in the hallway. He is asking if anyone knows how to start a stubborn chainsaw. Tom is answering. He says 2 pulls, choke on, then choke off. That is memory in action. Shortwave from Munich. A woman named Marta says tram stopped at 9 p.m. locale. She is a nurse. She walked home with 2 other nurses past a dark river and a small group of students handing out tea from a camp stove. She says the hospital had 1 working generator, but it failed when it got hot. She says the technicians cried and then kept working. She says she will go back at dawn and do what she can. We are getting into the later part of the night here. Heat will ease, tempers may ease. Thieves do not like neighbors who sit on porches. Sit on your porch if you have one. Drink water. Keep your voice low. A quiet street is a safe street. I have a story from the Riverbend I want to tell you because it models how to think tonight. There is a retired teacher named Mr. Hollis who runs the volunteer radio at the middle school during storm season. He took the printed map of the city water system, walked it to the mayor's office with a flashlight, and pointed at 3 manual valves that could redirect standby pressure to the east side where the nursing home is. 3 teenagers with bicycles ran those routes, found the valves, and turned them. The nursing home has a trickle of water right now because a retired teacher took a map off a wall and 3 kids did what was asked. That is how you live through a week like this. A correction. Earlier, I said the Department of Energy bulletin softened its language. A listener from Topeka who printed an earlier draft says the first bulletin did indeed include the word cyber, but it also said could be. The second bulletin removed that and said unknown cause. I stand corrected and I thank the listener. I will be wrong sometimes. I will fix it when I can. We will take 2 more calls before I do another block of instructions. Caller 1. This is Jason, flight nurse from Wichita. Our helicopter is grounded. We tried to spool it with ground power and the electronics smoked. We can run the engine, but avionics are dead and we will not fly in the dark without instruments. We are moving supplies by pickup truck. We have old paper maps and a box of road flares. If you have road flares, do not light 20 at once. 1 is plenty. We used 3 at a rural crossroads and it looked like a highway maintenance crew, not a party. That is good. People slow down. We had 2 near misses with people blasting through dead stoplights. Please tell folks to treat every dead light as a 4-way stop. Consider it told, Jason. Treat every dead light as a 4-way stop. Drivers, look left, look right, and then go slow. Caller 2. This is Rosalie in San Antonio. I am a line cook. My boss told us to go home when the fridges died. I took the bus halfway and then it stopped. A man on a bicycle led 20 of us the rest of the way, street by street. He knew which creeks flood and which do not. He took no pay. He asked for nothing. When we got close, he turned back to find more. I want to say his name. It is Miguel. We hear the name Rosalia. Miguel, if you find yourself in Riverbend someday, I owe you a barbecue plate. Instruction block. Home safety. Secure heavy furniture if you have rambunctious children and no lights. Tape flashlights to stair rails with the beam pointing down. Put a pot of water on a ceramic tile or an upside-down baking sheet if you boil on a camp stove. That spreads heat and reduces scorch. Keep a bucket of water near any flame. Do not leave a stove unattended. Make one room your sleeping room and one your utility room to contain mess. Communication plan. Write down a central meeting point for your family in case you leave the house and miss each other. Tape the note at eye level inside the front door. Include a time window written in words. If you are not back by noon, go to Aunt Linda's. Keep it simple. Neighborhood plan. Write a list of skills on a piece of cardboard and tape it to a light pole. Examples: nurse, plumber, mechanic, teacher. Teenagers available to carry. People will add their names. You will see a map of talent build in front of you. Use it. We will step into the strange again because the reports keep coming. A retired ship's radio officer named Kemal, in Izmir, says he hears a slow pulsing on long wire antennas that does not modulate like a human voice or music. It is not a beacon he recognizes. It is deep and regular, like a low drum, if a drum was made of air and electricity. He says it is not on a single frequency. It seems to ride across a band. He says when it peaks, the fluorescent tubes in his kitchen, which are dead, glow faintly at the ends. He is not drinking. He is not a prankster. He spent 30 years at sea. He knows what is normal in a wire. I'm writing that the way he said it. I do not know what to do with it. I am not calling it a message. I am calling it an observation. The generator put out a rattle. Tom says a pebble hit the fan guard. He is clearing it. Julio is holding a flashlight with a steady hand. I like Julio. My producer from years back, a man named Kevin, who moved to Minneapolis, used to tell me to keep a photograph in the booth for hard nights. Something calm, not of people, so you do not get stuck in memory. I had a photo of the Missouri River at dawn, taken from the levee right near here. I taped it to the wall above the clock. The clock is dead. The photo is not. I look at it between sentences to keep the ground under me. You do not need a photograph to do this. You can pick a fixed point in the room and return your eyes to it. It works. I want to talk about fuel because that is the question in half the texts on the old line and on the shortwave net. Diesel stores better than gasoline. If you have farm diesel with red dye, you do not want to pour that into a highway truck because of regulations. But tonight I'm going to say what matters is moving water and food. If a deputy tells you otherwise, obey. If you are a deputy listening, use judgment. We are not in a normal night. If you have a gasoline generator, run it for 1 hour on, 3 hours off. Cool the refrigerator and freezer and then shut down. It will stretch your supply. I have a message for anyone near a high school with a mechanical room. Many schools have printed maps of shutoff valves and manual controls pinned to the wall. If you need to redirect water for a neighborhood, those maps are gold. Find the custodian. He is often the best source of practical knowledge in any building. His name is on a door somewhere. Knock until he answers or until someone says where he is. We are getting into the back half of the night. My voice is going to slow down. That is not drama, that is endurance. When a baseball game goes into extra innings, the announcer stops calling every pitch loudly and starts telling you when the pitcher breathes before he throws. This is that shift. Shortwave from El Paso. Border Patrol agent off-duty says the ports of entry closed, lights out. And the lines of cars just sat, then turned around. He says the desert is dark, in a way he has not seen in 20 years. He says coyotes, the animals, not the smugglers, are calling more than usual. He says it is windy and dry. He says you can hear a truck from a mile away because there is no other sound. A moment of plain prayer from a man in Mississippi who asked me not to use his name. He said he is 91. He said he has survived floods and won war. He said he can sit on his porch and watch the road and make sure nobody takes the neighbor kid's bicycle. He said that is enough. I agree. I'm going to pivot to a list of numbers that I will say in words, so you can copy them exactly. Emergency Hamnet, check-in time here will be at 9 o'clock local time, 12 o'clock local time, 3 o'clock local time, and 6 o'clock local time. I will open the frequency on 7.20 megahertz. Lower sideband 5 minutes before and run through the list of known stations. If you do not hear me, you run it. Do not wait for my voice. The alternate frequency of 7.20 megahertz is swamped as 3.85 megahertz. Lower sideband. Local distribution points we will try to open tomorrow if the roads hold. Riverbend High School parking lot on North 10th Street for water. Farm and Fleet on East 7th for 1 case of water per household and a sign-up sheet for batteries. St. Mary's on Walnut for a hot meal at noon if propane holds. The old VFW hall for a farm barter market at 9 a.m. Bring your own sacks. If you plan to sleep, rotate a watch. 1 person awake per household or per floor in an apartment block. Set an alarm on a wind-up or a phone if you have a little charge left. Keep a whistle. A whistle carries farther than a shout. If you have a bullhorn, do not blow it for fun. Save batteries for calls that matter. We need to return to the science for a minute because I have another call from Elaine in Boulder. Mark, we are seeing something on the magnetometers that looks like a ripple locked in place, not sweeping. Stationary but oscillating. The frequency is low. That would push slow currents in long conductors. It could saturate cores without blowing everything at once. That might be what your Quebec tech called steady squeeze. I do not know the cause. None of the usual suspects fit. Thank you, Elaine. I repeat her words not to frighten you, but to share what real experts are seeing. Stationary ripple, slow currents, long conductors. If that is what is happening, burying your head will not change it. Turning off load where you can might protect what is left. Utilities know this. If any line worker hears me, thank you. Your job tonight is hard, and you do it in the dark and the heat, and you still figure out which switch to throw with a gloved hand by feel. A man with a little boy is pressing a paper against the window. I see it. It says Hannah is okay. She is at the school on Westnedge with other teachers. He says his sister lives on that street, and the teachers opened the building and made a dorm in the gym. I do not know the truth of it, but I will take this as a possible message, and I will breathe once and say thank you. If this is you, Hannah, and you hear a version of my voice tomorrow on a recording someone passes around, I am here. The generator just coughed. That was not a pebble. That was fuel. Tom is turning the valve from the second can. Julio is hand pumping. The engine smoothed. We are okay. That is a reminder that this ends when diesel ends, and that is honest. I have thought about whether to talk about weapons beyond the warning not to wave them around. I will say this. If you keep a pistol at home, load it. Keep it within reach but not in your pocket while you sleep. If you keep a long gun, lean it in a corner near the sleeping room. Do not get jumpy. Ask who is at the door before you open it. If you organize a watch, put the calmest person at the front, not the loudest. Calm people de-escalate. Loud people make noise. The deputy who called earlier will back me on this. We are close to what feels like midnight if the temperature drop and the insect sounds mean anything. I am going to use the next 15 minutes to read names and places from my notebook. This is not filler. This is the opposite. Names are how we anchor ourselves when the lights are gone. Angela, RN, at St. Joseph Medical Center in Kansas City. Manual ventilation ongoing. Needs oxygen tanks, masks, and strong hands. Dave at Farm and Fleet with a pallet of water and a plan for a table and lines. Sister Agnes at St. Mary's with pots and propane and a box for pistols. Janice at Community Radio in Columbia with a municipal pool valve and a working battery bank. Victor, substation protection veteran who called induced currents a steady squeeze. Robert in Manhattan, Kansas, with the fence that snapped at his hand. Alan in Quebec, engineer, using the word islands. Ruth in Chariton County with eggs and dried corn and a barter table. Captain Luis in the Gulf, steering by smell and memory and a painted tape label on a radio. Miguel in San Antonio, who led a bus full of people home by creek routes and asked for nothing. Chief Murphy in Chicago, turning valves in the dark and telling you to fill your tub. Marta in Munich, walking a dark river and going back at dawn. Pete in Denali, watching a low aurora and writing with a pencil. Dr. Tanaka in Ann Arbor, timing a flicker at 78 years old. The list is longer. I could read for an hour. I will stop. You get the idea. Your name belongs on a list too if you do one useful thing tonight. It can be small. Tape a flashlight to a banister. Write a note for a neighbor with dyslexia in clear block letters. Move water buckets for a woman with a bad back. We are going to the shortwave once more. Riverbend Relay. Calling any station with emergency traffic only. Over. This is Tower 22 on the Missouri River Levee, hearing you on a portable set. We are volunteers. The river level is normal. No flood risk. The pumps at Station 3 stopped. We open manual gates to relieve pressure. We have 2 men with shovels and 1 woman with a lantern walking the wall every hour. We will keep walking until sunrise. Copy that, Tower 22. Walk steady. Check the seams. Call if you see wet spots or slumps. This is the Burlington Northern Yardmaster in Galesburg on a hand radio patched through an old scanner. We stopped all consists. We set handbrakes on the grade. We posted men with chocks. We do not need a runaway. Tell any kids not to climb on cars tonight. The brakes hold, but why test them? Copy that, Yardmaster. Parents, keep kids off train cars. There is nothing romantic about a rolling boxcar in the dark. It crushes. The engine note outside is steady. The rack fans are steady. The light is dim and warm. I am still here. I will close this hour with a few final instructions and a promise. Instructions first. Water, light, list. Get water into containers. Get light that does not burn a house down. Make a list of neighbors and what they can do. Tape that list where strangers can see it. It turns strangers into helpers. If you have a radio, write down the frequencies I gave. If you have paper maps, lay them out and draw circles around places with water, shade, and big rooms. Those are your shelters. Appoint 2 people to stand at each one and tell others where to go. If you're scared, that is not a failing. It means your body is paying attention. Use the energy. Carry water. Count pills. Stand a watch. The promise. I will talk until the light on this console goes out and the engine in the backlot coughs for the last time. When it does, I will put a battery recorder on the desk and I will keep talking into it. When someone brings fuel, we will bump the starter and push this voice back into the air. I do not know if that will be an hour or a day or a week. I know what a voice can do inside a dark room. It can keep your hands steady and it can put a picture in your head that makes sense when nothing else does. You are listening to Emergency Relay, Riverbend, Missouri. This is Mark Caldwell. My daughter's name is Hannah. If you know a teacher named Hannah in Kalamazoo, tell her father is on the air and will stay until the fuel runs out. Tom is at the window with a thumbs up. Julio is laughing at a joke I did not hear. That sound is as good as any generator. We are not alone. Not because of faith or wishful thinking. Because the air carries these waves, and any radio with a working coil turns the waves back into sound. Your kitchen radio, your old Walkman, your truck set, all of them doing the same simple thing. You and me sharing a band of frequencies that the sky has not eaten yet. I will be back after I drink water and check the back lot. Do not go away. If you go to sleep, leave the radio on low and set it by your bed. Let the hiss and small words keep you company. I will say useful things. I will say names. I will count hours. I will do it until the light in this room dies. This is Mark, back again. I walk the hall. The building is a rectangle wrapped around a stairwell with a glass block window. There are 2 men on the 3rd floor landing, sitting with their backs to the wall, passing a pack of cards. The woman with the lantern from before left it on the floor for them. Small things. The generator shows 2 full cans remaining. We are switched to the 2nd now. That is 6 to 8 hours at half load if we baby it. Tom wants to cut the transmitter to a 1/4 power at sunrise to stretch it. That will lower our range. If you hear us weak in the morning, that is why. Find a higher place in your house and lift the radio near a window. It does help a little. I'm going to put one more detailed instruction. Set it into the air for hospital staff, nursing home staff, and home caregivers. Manual ventilation. If you have to bag a patient, use a 1-second squeeze and 2-second release. Watch the chest rise. Do not overinflate. Swap people every 15 minutes to avoid fatigue. If you have a pulse oximeter, keep the numbers above 92% if you can. If you do not, check color and consciousness. If the patient is awake and can speak, you are okay. If lips turn blue, you are not. Keep airways clear. Suction if you have a hand bulb. If you do not, turn the person on their side and clear gently with a cloth. Dialysis. If power is out and you cannot run machines, call for every volunteer you can to carry water and keep patients cool. Watch for confusion, swelling, and shortness of breath. None of this is a solution. It buys time. Medication storage, insulin. I mentioned clay pots. Also, dig shallow pits lined with cloth in a shaded place. The ground is cooler than the air. Keep medicines in waterproof bags. Mark the spots so you do not lose them. I could do this all night, and I will if the fuel holds. But I also know that hearing a human story matters. So here is a clean one from 2 hours ago. A young man with a red baseball cap and a nose ring walked in with a plastic tub of D-cell batteries and put them on our lobby floor. He said he bought them for a camping trip that got canceled. He said, "Take what you need." He did not ask for money. He did not want a receipt. He wrote his first name, Caleb, on a piece of paper and taped it to the tub. If you took a pair from that tub and you are listening, remember the name Caleb. When he needs help, be the first to stand up. We have a late check-in from a woman named Nora on the Standing Rock Reservation. She says the tribal radio station is down, but the community hall has a generator and a nurse. She says the elders are telling stories to keep kids steady. She says the stories are not myths tonight. They are memories of how to do without wires. She asks that we do not forget them when lights come back. I wrote that down. The last part matters as much as the first. I will end this segment by telling you how to find us if we go quiet. If the carrier drops, wait 5 minutes. If we come back, it means Tom or Julio turned a valve or swapped a filter. If we do not, go to 96.1 megahertz FM for Columbia, Missouri, and listen for Janice. If she is down, go to the shortwave on 7.20 megahertz lower sideband and ask for Riverbend Relay. Someone will answer. If no one does, do not give that silence any power. Sit with your family and speak your plan out loud. Then sleep in shifts. Dawn will come. Whether there is power or not, dawn comes. That is an actual guarantee. This is station KCVR Emergency Relay. Signing nothing, because we are not signing off, just taking a breath. I am Mark. I will keep speaking until the light dies. I will say your names if you give them to me. I will keep count of hours. I will tell you how to boil water and how to find a valve and how to hand a stranger a can of fruit. That is the job. It is not heroic. It is a list, a voice, and a diesel engine running at a steady pitch. Stand by. Back again. The fuel line is tight. The fan is balanced. The rack is warm to the touch but not hot. The street outside is quiet and held. The sky is starless, or my eyes are tired. The world did not end. It paused in a strange way. That is enough for voices to matter. You are listening? I am here. We will make it through this night. Then we will do what people always do in mornings after. We will sweep floors. We will move water. We will argue in lines and then apologize and pass the next jug back. We will take stock and make a plan for the next night if the lights are still out. And I will be on this frequency with a smaller transmitter and a quieter room and a hoarser voice.